Good morning. Welcome to Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP. I'm your co-host, Ryan, aka the Logistics Monk. With me is my good friend, Dan Deigan, the amazing founder of HPLS, all that fun stuff, and he's back. So what's going on, Dan? How was your weekend, brother?
Oh, it was a great weekend this weekend, brother. I know it's going to sound crazy, everybody, but I ate lasagna. I ate cereal. I had chicken wings. I'm in heaven, man. I'm in
Man,
heaven.
it's looking. I can see the blood is like in the face and all that stuff. You know, I'm seeing you're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Thanks, buddy. My forehead's not as shiny as that picture you use on the cover, though. I realized like there was something glistening off the top of my forehead on that. But yeah, I kind of got this whole coif thing going on. I don't know what's happening, but it's okay.
Looking good though,
I'll
man. You're
go to
looking
another
good.
barber.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go to another barber. And speaking of cutting, let's cut right into our intro video. Let's go.
Good.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
So, brother, I know you said lasagna, you said chicken wings, but the most important, like Alex Hormozy says, you never skip dessert. So please tell me you had dessert this weekend.
Cheesecake and
Ooh, what kind?
molten lava cake.
Woo! What kind of cheesecake?
And regular, it was like a New York style cheesecake with chocolate sauce and strawberry. It was for Christine's birthday. And then molten lava cake was for Christine's birthday. And that was after, so hold on, that was after sushi. So I had sushi this weekend too.
Woo! Shout out to
Buddy,
Jeff.
I'm like,
Jeff is not a sushi guy, but sushi's so freaking good.
Jeff's not a sushi guy.
No, he hates sushi, man. I've always told him, man. Anytime we go to New Jersey, I'm taking him to sushi. Like, I know he's watching, but like, you gotta try sushi, man. It's not raw fish that everybody always thinks about. Like,
That's
I just got,
sushi.
yeah, sashimi, yeah. So it's sushi is like the cooked stuff, man. You can get chicken, you can get beef, you can get fish, you can get everything. But like you said, I got a question for you. Speaking of cake, my wife is a big Black Forest cake person, and I hate Black Forest cake. I think that's the worst cake out there. Period.
Why?
Yeah, where do you rank Black Forest cake? Let's say in your top 10. Where is that?
Okay, I like Black Forest cake, but it's probably right in the middle. And only because, like, for me, ice cream cake from Dairy Queen is
That doesn't
like
count. That doesn't
the
count,
leaderboard.
man. There's no
But
cake in it, man. There's
okay,
no
so you're
cake.
talking just cake. You're talking just
Well, I would
okay.
say cake. I would never consider. Okay, so let me give you a thing here. So Dairy Queen's ice cream cake doesn't count because there's actual no cake in it. But we found out Baskin Robbins, they actually do half cake and half ice cream. So if you're ever doing like a
What?
celebration, go to Baskin Robbins. We did that for my mom's birthday. Chef's kiss, my man. There's actual cake in it. But anyways, let's go with your top 10 and then we'll jump into today's topic.
Hold on. Well, now I got to try that now. Rainbow cake has to be my probably one of my first, if not carrot cake with like the cream cheese icing, mint. God, I'm hungry now, and
I was just gonna say, man, we might have to end the show early and go for dessert right now.
You know, there's a place in Mississauga, you might know it, where all they serve is dessert. Like
Don't say Dimitri's.
Is it Dimitri's? I think it might be Dimitri's.
It's
Yes,
Dimitri's, yeah.
a friend brought me there right after Jim Jeffries' show. And I walked in, and the smell in that place, like the waffles, the I know.
It's like a sugar rush, and like like the thing with okay. So was that your first time going to Dimitri's, or you've been to Dimitri's many times before?
No, it was my first time. You walk in, you walk
Ooh.
out with diabetes.
I was
100%.
just gonna say. So I was actually telling my wife about that like 2 weeks. It was like let's go to Dimitri's. But the thing with Dimitri's, Dan, is that okay, you're gonna get cake, or you're gonna get crepe, or you're gonna get a waffle, whatever. But do you get a milkshake? Like I always opt for something that's neutral. So I actually get a glass of milk, and I always get like a stare or like a snicker from like the waitress or the waiter because they're like, who the hell wants milk? But I'm like, who wants a milkshake or something sweet with their sweet? Like it
Oh, you
just.
need milk,
Thank you.
milk. And he said, well, when we were at our friend's place on Friday night, was it Friday night? Friday night, Christine and I went out for sushi for her birthday, and then our friends were like, well, we'll make lava cakes, and they made them from scratch. So we were like, yeah, for sure, we're on our way. So we went there, and everyone's drinking like wine and stuff. I'm like, can I have a glass of milk with my lava cake? Because you gotta have milk with
Gotta have milk,
like
man.
you
Milk is
gotta.
Milk with dessert is like the best. I don't know about milk and spaghetti, but we'll talk about that on another
Well,
thing.
yeah,
But
actually, I drink milk with everything, but
okay, boo.
like
That's gross.
frosty cold milk with dessert,
Bussin'.
mint,
Yeah,
mint.
bussin'.
Yeah,
So,
you're in
it
heaven.
was a great weekend. The Leafs picked up that win on Saturday. What a great game, but they
Yes.
sucked, man. That was I feel like in the playoffs, you always have those games where you have no business winning, but you need a couple of those. I think I remember Pittsburgh a couple of years ago when they won their Stanley Cup. There were so many games that they had that were like, oh man, we should get into it. But Dan, you said something last week, and I really want to talk about it because I've actually been thinking about it a lot on my
Mhm.
drives, just my time walking and things like that. And the one thing you mentioned was scarcity mindset, and you were talking in
Mhm.
reference to somebody that you worked at a different company with, and he was kind of like the top guy, and he didn't want to kind of show his homework or kind of give you that help.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of research on it, Dan. So scarcity mindset isn't something that is just in professional. It can happen in personal, and it's more
Mhm.
within. It's like when you
Yep.
feel like someone's trying to take something away from you.
Do you think
Let's let's.
there's a bigger perspective of it, Ryan?
I
In the
think so.
perspective of there's not enough to go around, so I have to protect mine.
I think it's like okay, so I think it could be life based. So like for myself, right? Let's
Mhm.
say you were like a single sibling, or like you didn't have your support of your parent, like something like that, whether it be school or maybe some kind of traumas or something like that happened in your life that you were forced to be this way. Like I've always kind
Mhm.
of understood, like let's say when it comes to finances, Dan, no one is like born cheap. They kind of see their environment. Either their parents were cheap, or they didn't have a lot growing up, or they just want to like save and kind of get to goals and things like that. And that's how I kind of see what the perspective you're mentioning is that they just want to hoard it because it's, hey, it's mine. It's mine. It's like getting a whole pizza. This is my pizza. What if he shares and he gets sick? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. So can you let the audience know what your opinion of what scarcity mindset is? Let's dive deep right into it, and let's open up the floodgates with that.
Sure. Um, so for me, scarcity mindset has always been. I've looked at it more in business as opposed to personal life, and the reason being, in when you're in some of the larger, and then large is kind of a, I don't know. I mean, I'm in Canada, so our large in Canada is not necessarily a $5 billion. Some of those three word or three letter companies, but it's a large company in Canada is a couple $100 million in a logistics brokerage, especially private. So I was involved with a private brokerage, very large private brokerage, and what I felt was day one, you could have two people talking about a customer, and as soon as a new person or somebody they don't know enters the room, the talk stops.
Hmm.
Notice that right away because I was just like, I mean, I was 17 years old, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I came in. Sorry, guys, did I come in at the wrong time? And it's like, no, 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 no. But the talking goes down when you walk into the cafeteria or something, right? Um, then as I go through and continue through with this company, I realized that most people, don't want to give up their secrets on how they got that customer or how they got that customer to talk during that sales call. Because I was always the one that would say, okay, help me explain to me how you did this or why you did this. And it would be like very short answers, almost like the best way I could put it is I would ask a question, I'd get a politician answer.
Hmm.
Where they're they're trying to answer, but they're like skating around this corner and drifting around that corner, and they're not answering it straightforward. And so what I started doing is about 20 years into my career, I guess maybe 17 years into my career, I started saying, well, I want to start interviewing all these top dogs. So I went to like all the offices, reached out to people that weren't even in my company, and I wanted to start asking them questions. Now, the ones that weren't in my company that didn't know me, nobody would talk.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably reached out to 50 and not one would talk to me. Probably understandable because I'm from a different company. I'm going to be asking them secrets about how they succeed. And it's like, well, but again, scarcity mindset. The ones in my company, I sat down with 15 or 20, and there were very, very few. I'm talking two or three that would actually say, well, this is what I did.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how I went through it. This is the step by step. Um, it would be beat around the bush answers. Well, I don't know. It's kind of different every time.
Yeah.
And I've learned that in our game, it's not different every time. The responses might be a little different, but you can walk into every cold call the exact same. It's not
Mm.
different. It's the same thing. You got to get through possibly a gatekeeper. You got to get to the person that makes the decision, and you got to engage them in conversation. It's the same thing every time. Personalities are different. And it was crazy, Ryan. It's just that they kept it so close to their chest, as if I give Dan my secret, I'm gonna be like Samsonite or Samson, where you cut my hair and I lose my power.
Yeah.
And I also found that some people would do the same thing with their carriers.
Yes.
They have
Yeah.
a really good carrier out of Illinois or something, and it's like, hey, listen, I got this business out of Illinois. Do you know anybody good? Yeah, and with that, there's different things that could be said, because I remember giving really good supplier names to people, and they would go and start screaming at them, and there was issues not giving them all the information and not wanting to pay them attention, and da da da. And they would come back to me and say, Dan, like, I don't want to deal with this person.
Yeah.
So I kind of got that part, because in well, in a logistics company, you're almost like your own little business inside of a business. And
100%.
not everybody runs business the same way, right?
Yeah.
People run business, unfortunately, probably less today, but I'm sure it still happens, where they'll drop a carrier for $50. Same thing as people find carriers that'll drop them for $50,
Yeah.
right? It still goes on. We've preached, you and Jeff have preached, I've preached, we've all preached that it's like, build that relationship on both sides, right? And that's where I think scarcity mindset disappears, is
Yes.
when you build that relationship and you understand the trillions of dollars at play here. There's a piece of the pie for everyone.
Hmm. And I see that 100% with everything that you're kind of saying right now. And as you're talking, Dan, I remember that I was like, I dealt with that scarcity mindset. And that was when I went from my cradle to the grave job to a sales plus ops situation at my second job. And for me, all I knew was cradle to the grave. So if I had a load, I'd want to basically post on the boards, find some people, and then right away. But then I realized, hey, I'd get the sales opportunity. I'd send an email, I'd copy everybody on it, and then it would just be crickets. And it's just like, for me, it's just like, okay, well, you could have gone and just posted on the board, like get a quick rate from me or something like that. But they have different ways of they handle it, right? They reach out to their internal carriers. So even though it looks like they haven't done anything, they probably reached out to like 20 internal carriers without it going on the board or something like that. And for me, it was like, hey, I would ask that question, what's going on? And it was just like, no, just believe in us. So maybe I possibly had that too. And another situation, like you said, you only think about it in business, but I think about it in personal, especially in health wise, Dan. It's like anybody who starts a diet for the first time, they have that scarcity mindset of like thinking only about the foods that they can't eat. So that's why a lot of
Yes.
diets kind of fail. You look at resolutions that start on January 1st. It's like, I got to get to the gym. I got to get to the gym. They're thinking about losing that 20, 30 pounds. They're so fixated on it, not knowing that they're making progress day by day by day by day. And then realistically, like, I consider my gym, like, I go quite a bit, but I know there was times that I considered my gym like a donation. It was like a write-off. So I pay my monthly fees and not go in anymore. So that was like my donation to there. So I want you to kind of, like you said, you saw that when you had that in your career. How does one, because we kind of do things without kind of noticing ourselves. What are some key traits that you've kind of seen that people can notice that maybe, hey, they have a scarcity mindset?
The first one is obviously the belief that there's not enough. If you ever, um, and maybe not even consciously, but subconsciously, find yourself saying, if I share this information, I'm in peril, or
Hmm.
or I'll have less pie, or I won't be kind of the first one out of the gate. That's a scarcity mindset. If you ever find yourself not really wanting to give an answer that helped you move forward, in the fear that, what if they move forward, beyond me? So, perfect example is most coaches, right? I've seen coaches stop giving students really good advice because the student's starting to trump the coach.
Mhm.
But as a coach, if the people I'm training double and triple what I was able to do, I'm ecstatic. Ecstatic because it's like, wow, look at this person that just took it, and I'll share their story with everybody. But it wasn't always like that. Like when I first started, I mean, I had it, Ryan. I lived it. When I first started doing really well in the industry, I was in the industry for less than a year and I started winning sales competitions and everything. And I had people come up to me and I took the exact same mentality that people took to me because I thought, well, that's what you have to do. You have to protect your own. You can't let these people know what the secret is. They have to learn it themselves. And then why, nobody gave it to me. So why am I going to give it to you when you're 3 months in the game? And this is where you move from me to we.
Yes.
Right? Like it's as a salesperson, and I look at this in a few different ways. As a salesperson, if you don't understand the costing and how much it costs to invoice an order in your company, I think you're missing a massive piece of information. Like again, salespeople, and this is where the subconscious is more. We focus on where's our profit, right? Would you agree? We focus on the margins on our loads.
Yep.
But how do we know our company's making money? The flag we fly. How do we know they're making money? And I'll give you a perfect example. I remember sitting down with the VP of Ops, and I said, what does it cost to invoice an order? And she said $70. So in this corporation, pretty much $1 billion corporation, every load that went through cost the company $70. Employee, personnel, office supplies, rent, hydro, like A to Z, $70 was the dollar figure. And I looked through my system. You know how many loads I had at $50 a load? Because I had a couple of shippers that would give me 15 loads a day. I put $50 on each of them. I had one carrier doing it. It was like literally, 15 load sheets, 20 load sheets every day that went out, and we never thought about it. Reports came in like it was easy. But when you're doing 50 to 20 load sheets at $50, that adds up at the end of the week. But it was a single load sheet. Each one was a single load sheet. So what was happening is every load sheet cost the company $20 because they had to individually process it. So what I did is I started a deal with the supplier and the customer that I'd invoice them once a week. So we do all the loads at the week. On the Friday, they get invoiced. One invoice, one set of one. So I reduced that cost. I went from 100 something load sheets to one. So I cut that cost down, but only because I had the conversation.
Yeah.
Now, as a sales rep, I started to realize I had that, and it's a different kind of scarcity mindset where my business was the only business that mattered, right? And it changed the way I look at the company in general. And then when I started training salespeople in that company, that's one of the first things I did was say, hey, listen, like we got to understand, you need to make money, but the company needs to stay profitable because otherwise if you're making $20 a load, that extra $50 is being pulled from another sales rep's money.
Yeah.
Right. It's being pulled from their profit. And if we are going to make this, we have to think of and that's why when I wrote my book, The 4 Pillars of Transportation, it was, your life, your customer, your company, and your team. Mm-hmm. Those 4 people have to be profitable, have to earn a commission in the world of logistics. If you're not looking after those 4 groups of people, to me, it's a scarcity mindset. Because you're saying, well, I got to take as much from the customer so I can get as much as I need. That's scarcity.
Yeah.
Like Dean said it a million times, leave something on the table for the next person.
Yep.
Right. And it's in, like Lisa says, you're empowering others. Now I'm the first one. A new person walks through the door. I'm like, dude, let's sit down for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
let's figure, and so are you, and so is Jeff. Like let's sit down for 2 hours. Let's just talk. I'll give you. I would much rather help somebody get 6, 8, 10 months ahead, and like unbelievably crush it, because I know there's a piece of the pie for them.
Mhm.
There always is.
And I love that you said that because
What's
you know
your response to that, Ryan?
Yeah, of course. No, so there's a couple of things that you said there that I want to kind of talk a little bit more about. So I love the four pillars thing, and not a lot of people get into the company. And I've been lucky that I've only been at three companies, and I don't see myself leaving the current place that I'm at right now. But when I came to this third place, it was important for me to like talk to everybody. Talking
Yeah.
to accounting, having those discussions, and this is why, um, like it's really important to like let's say go to lunch with ops, like you kind of said, have that 2 hours, get to understand what their focus is because it's there's no bias towards it because let's say as an operator yourself, we're talking, and I would love to have some operations people come on the show and give their minds, their point of view as well. But when you're an ops guy and you're looking at a $50 order versus a $300 order, right? And there is commission to be made, right? There's some places that pay you a commission for being an ops person, or you kind of get that base salary or whatever it is. But when you look at that and then you kind of like, okay, well, I always know, I don't know about you, Dan, but every $50 order I've had, it's bottom of the barrel carrier, and it's something's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to change that rate sheet maybe 3 or 4 times before we get picked up. But I find like those things just don't work. But I think when you switch your mindset from that scarcity to abundance, knowing that hey man, there's everything for all of us. And Tony Robbins said a great story about that in terms of that he didn't have much, but he helped other people, and he always kind of wondered like, hey, am I gonna run out of money? Am I gonna run out of conversations to have with people? But then I feel I'm not trying to get too special here, but when it comes to the universe, abundance will help you. We look at like somebody like Jeff who is posting daily content every single day to help other sales reps. Like he has his wall of shame where like he gets sprayed and prayed on. But for us, it's important to be able to be a welcome hand. And I think when it comes to like scarcity mindset, like I said, it's made me reflect that the times that I've had it, whether it be my professional or my personal life, and understand like where did that lead me to? Because it's not going to be good. I don't think it could be good if I had that mindset. But when was it that I switched? Right. So it's really important to me for what you kind of said. Like, you have those four pillars: yourself, your business, your company, and your coworkers. And understand that, hey, we're all going to get this. We're all four spokes on a wheel, and we're going to make this turn from there.
Yeah.
Dan, you mentioned, like you said, we're talking about scarcity, and that's when your mind shifted for there, and you haven't talked about your personal life in scarcity mindset. But let's talk about that a little bit. In your personal life, your wife, your family, what your snowmobiling, everything that you find that is away from business, how do you deal with people who are of that scarcity mindset? And instead of saying like the easiest way of like, hey, I just stopped talking to them, I stopped engaging with them, I feel like it's kind of like our duty to kind of help them. People will be who they are, and you accept people for who they are, that aspect. But how do you kind of manage those relationships with people in your in your personal life?
So I just want to share something quickly before I jump onto that, because I think it's important to understand. Like Tony Robbins was living in his car when he was helping people become millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And so you talk about, not focusing on yourself and focusing on other people. And there's so many stories you can find about Tony Robbins, and he was studying with Jim Rohn and all these greats, and he was actually in a graduating class, or like one of these things where you got to go for like 10 weeks and then you graduate and you get your certificate that says you're allowed to help people, right? And he was 3 weeks in. He says, "No, I got it now. I'm good. I'm going to go start helping people." And they actually fired him from the class. Because like, well, you haven't graduated. He said, "But why do I need to graduate? Like this information here can help people. I'm going to go help them." And he was living in his car, and people he was helping were becoming millionaires, right? So you talk about a non-scarcity mindset, knowing this is going to come back to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I would add that in, because it's tough for us to sit back right now and say, Tony Robbins lived in his car. The guy owns islands in Fiji. He has like $7 billion companies. Like, are
You
you
sure you're talking
kidding?
about the right guy?
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I think most people can't like sit down and really like get this. Is like James Dyson. he, before creating the Dyson vacuum, he had 5,127 different prototypes of vacuums. His original idea was to sell to like Eureka or Kenmore or one of these big vacuum companies. And he lost every single friend. The only person that was standing beside him at the end was his wife. Everyone thought, dude, vacuums have been around forever. What are you trying to do? Like, you're crazy. Like, they literally thought he should be committed to a white padded room in a straitjacket. And he finally, after 5,127 times, he's like, I'm just going to start Dyson vacuums, and look at him today. Because again, he's helping people. Like, nobody thought, who's going to want to look at the dirt coming out of their carpets, right? Like, we go back, and I go back to my parents, when my parents had a vacuum in this big canister, and it was this big bag, and you pull the
Plug
bag
into
out.
the wall.
Yeah,
I remember
and
that
you
outlet. That was so
yeah,
annoying. Yeah.
you touch the bag, and this poof of dirt comes out, right? And it was who wants to see the dirt? Well, I know personally, when I see the dirt, I'm like, it feels clean, right? Because you see what's come out. So it's changing that perspective, right? But so back to your question, I apologize, but it's this is part of scarcity mindset, because everybody that Dyson dealt with had the scarcity mindset. This already exists.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're about to embark on a new project that, for the most part, the shell of what it is exists, but not what we put inside. And we're going to have that. Well, what's the difference between yours and this? Right? Again, it's going to be that in that scarcity mindset, because they're not willing to open up and see the difference. And we're going to have to break through people's scarcity mindsets. 100%, Ryan, without a shadow of a doubt. But that's what's going to be super cool about it, is because when we see the people's eyes light up and go, right, when that domino falls and that big bright idea light that gets everything. In personal life, I'm a little different. I help people that help themselves. I've wasted, and I'm going to say wasted, a lot of time, effort, and energy in my personal life helping people that have no interest in helping themselves. And I've come to a realization probably about 15 years ago that you can't help somebody that's not willing to help themselves.
Yeah.
I've given people books that have changed my life. I've bought them copies. I've asked the authors to sign them. They've never read them. I've shared videos with them and said, like, listen, I know you're not, some people just aren't personal development people, and I get it. I said, like, this isn't Pollyanna stuff. This isn't high, rose colored glasses. This is reality. This one, like, speech just changes your perspective. And that's all we need, is just a slight perspective shift. Nothing. And I think at a certain point, you have to accept that they're going to be who they are. And at one point in time, see, this is my firm belief, at some point in time, maybe I'm not that person to deliver that message. Maybe it's a National Enquirer when they're standing in line at the grocery store. I don't know. But I'm always willing to help friends get past it, because when I was going through what I was going through over the last year, there were points in times that I was ready to give up. And it was my friends and family that got me through. And it was, a friend just saying blah, blah, blah. Or, I got a package from Nicole Glenn, and it's Strength Finders 2.0 she put in it for me. And, she gave me a thing where I wrote letters to myself in the future. And it was, my wife standing beside me and, cheering me on the whole time. And even though I'm like at the lowest and no energy and I'm just ready to give up, it's like, okay, and you get that burst of energy. But it's the, it's always the application of the information.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to help, I believe anyways, if you're trying to help somebody in your personal life and they've got a scarcity mindset and they don't believe, hey, listen, it's not just money. There's not enough love in the world for me. I'll never find that one. I don't have any good friends. That scarcity mindset is a massive spectrum of thoughts, right? Scarcity mindset is that I call it the whirlwind effect in our head, where we think one thing, then it leads to another, and all of a sudden, like, we're we're living in a cardboard box under a bridge, and this is within 5 minutes putting your head down on your pillow. You know what I mean? Like that scarcity, having that new idea in your head about a business and talking yourself out of it. That's
Yeah.
scarcity. But I've always found I help people that help themselves. I'll try and help everybody, but at a certain point in time, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been there many times where I'm trying to help somebody and I believe in them way more than they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And I find I'm banging my head against the wall.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting ahead. I have a perfect example, and I'd love to hear your side on the personal side of it as well. There was a salesperson that had so much talent, so much talent. I mean, this guy could have been the rock star of rock stars. And I told him so many times, I go, dude, you just don't see it. But like, you had so much talent. I said, listen, like, your client base is a really good client base. Get meetings. I'll show you exactly how to double your business in less than 30 days. Okay, I'm in. Okay, let's do it. And I said, I'll step by step, I will walk you through it and we will double your business. Within 2 days, he accepted an offer somewhere else that gave him a $10,000 signing bonus. Okay.
Yeah.
I told the entire team in my department, I said, listen, this is what happened, but here's what I want you to see. All of you can walk with me through the next 30 days. And in the next 30 days, I tripled his business. And it's not because of Dan. I knew how to approach his customers. I knew the business they had. He had some huge customers, and it's just approaching them in a different way. And I showed the 27 other reps that were still there how to triple a business in 30 days. And you think about it, he was doing about 15 grand a month. So he would have been doing 45, right? That $10,000 bonus was nothing compared to what he could have made, but he jumped because of the bonus. Because his scarcity mindset couldn't get past the fact that he couldn't get past that number.
And just to kind of play devil's advocate on that, did you ever keep in contact with him? Like, did he?
Oh yeah.
What did he do at like the new place?
Nothing. He's gone to
so,
another place now.
And
that's and again, it's still to this day when I talk to him, the guy's got so much talent. He just can't get past his own scarcity. How do you deal with it in personal life?
Yeah, in personal life, the one thing that has helped me with people who like have a scarcity mindset is I detach from the outcome. And that's something that I really learned early in my career. Like when I'm kind of telling somebody, hey, they want some help with like, let's say logistics or like life or anything like that. And I give them the blueprint. That's the one thing I don't do, Dan. I don't gatekeep. If anybody wants to know whatever I do, my DMs are always open and have a conversation. So when I give somebody the blueprint that I really worked hard at, and I'm willing to give that, and I just see like, oh man, like, I'm not gonna, hey man, did you do any calls today? Or like, did you go, like, even scarcity mindset in dating, right? It's like, you don't just sit on Tinder and just swipe left and swipe right, man. Go have conversations with people, go try something new. And if you find a like-minded person, like let's say you like chess, you're not going to be on Tinder looking for your next girlfriend or boyfriend on chess. You can go to a chess club or something with golf. Even with golf, it's like, it's funny that you mentioned that because like I got into golf like 3-4 years ago, and like I have friends who are not good or anything like that, but I've always said, hey man, go get a golf lesson, man. Like go get a couple lessons, learn how to play the game, right? And then they just don't. So anytime we go in the links, it's like it gets frustrating for me because like we could have been together here at the same level, or even I don't care who ups me, or I don't care. It's a one-on-one game, but I've got somebody who I can shoot down the middle, but they're into the trees, or it's just they're probably shooting over 100. It's not an enjoyable process, right? For that, the first couple times I can do it because it is what it is, but it's like what do you say, Dan? I think it's like a couple times after a couple mistakes, like 2 or 3 mistakes, it's a choice. You're choosing not to do it. Yeah, it's a choice from that aspect. So I think like when it comes to scarcity mindset for myself, even when I kind of look at that and I see like the hardest ones then are the people like family, because you can choose your friends, you can choose anybody else in the world, but you can't choose family. So when you see that scarcity mindset within your family, like your cousins or different people, and you're like, you try to give them that advice, but then they just don't want to take it. It's like, okay, well, there's a point in time, like you kind of mentioned, if they're not going to want to listen to what I have to do or put into apply in action, then it's like it's time to walk away and kind of detach from the outcome. But I'll always be here, so it's kind of like loving from afar, if that makes sense. So I think
Yeah.
that's extremely important.
Yeah, and it's I know we got to go because we're running way past, but it's one of these things where I've often said, you know, don't complain if you're going to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And not to bring up rock stars and stuff, but if you listen to Kid Rock, okay, and he says, "Hey, I wanted this, so I'm not going to bitch," and he's talking about paparazzi. He's like, "I wanted to be a rock star. I knew what came with that, the popper, and as unfortunate as it is, does everybody deserve privacy? Yes. Unfortunately, you put yourself in that light, people are going to spy on you. You're gonna have drones fly over your house. It's what it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is." And he says, like, listen, he was in an interview one day and he says it in one of his songs too. He says, like, I wanted this, so I'm not gonna bitch.
Mm.
When I get out somewhere and I'm walking into a restaurant and there's 100 people wanting autographs, like, I wanted to be Kid Rock,
Mhm.
right? So that's what it is. And I think sometimes, we want to be this, call it a superstar, right? But so not very many people are willing to put in the work.
Yep.
And that's the problem. And that's where the mindset starts to downward spiral. Because you might have cousins or somebody that say, I really want this. You're like, okay, here's the blueprint. Take it. Oh, that's work. Well,
Yeah.
what do you expect? It to fall out of the sky? Like the amount of hours that I studied. And when I say studied, I mean every kind of book, from psychology to negotiation to everything. Humans, the way the brain works, dopamine, serotonin, like all these books I studied, because they all had a connection to my career, to my life as a whole, and trying to understand, when this happens, why does my body respond like that? And it's actually a reaction as opposed to a response. But when this happens, why does my body react like that? And something as simple as a prospect saying no. You're getting all the way down to almost the finish line and they say no. And I found I reacted like negatively when my funnel wasn't full,
Yeah. It's always like
because I
that.
was
It's
counting
always
on
like
that.
that. It's
Yeah.
always like that. You have that scarcity mindset. Like when there's like I can consider it like to money, right? You got that scarcity mindset when you have none, but then when you're abundance and you're kind of like working towards it, it's like, okay, well, I don't need to kind of hold all this stuff. But there's only so much you can hold on to. And like you said, for if your pipeline's not filled, you're counting on this to close. And a great video that we had was the interview that we had with Jeb Blunt, who was talking about selling in a crisis and fanatical prospecting with that, right? So just know that you are the sum of the actions that you complete, right? There's no magic bullet, there's no cheat code, there's not a, like we're talking about the diet thing, man. There's not a pill except for Ozempic that I feel like everyone's taking these days. But there's not a magic pill to kind of get there. So I know we're coming up on time. We're gonna wrap it up here, Dan. But quickly before we get wrapped up, one tip. So one tip to identify scarcity mindset.
I think you see it. Like, you see it right away. If you find yourself backing down, if you find yourself trying to keep things close to your chest, if you find yourself or somebody you're working with giving you politician like answers that beat around the bush, there's scarcity in there. It's like everything in life is like air. There's enough to go around. And again, this isn't like, Ryan, this isn't Pollyanna. This isn't some rose colored glasses thing. Like, it's reality.
Yeah.
There's like quadrillions of dollars in the marketplace for everyone to make. There's always another customer for someone to get. Always, 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 because somebody is being treated like a number. Somebody is like, you have a gift.
Yeah.
Every one of you watching has a gift that Ryan and I don't have.
Yep.
That the next person beside you doesn't have. And there's a customer out there that wants you, that's looking for you. And I think when you realize that, then you start putting in the effort to make it happen. But if you find yourself convincing yourself, oh, there's no more leads out there, I'm just going to take today off. That's a scarcity mindset. Like it is 100%. And if you're finding yourself, putting your head, because the reality is this, when we're go during the day, it's one thing. But the real test is those quiet moments.
Yep.
When you put your head down on the pillow and you say goodnight to your spouse, or you say goodnight to your pets, and you put your head down on the pillow. It's that 5 minutes, maybe for some people an hour before they fall asleep. It's that quiet time in the shower. It's that quiet moment at a stoplight on your way to work. Those quiet moments, the little conversations we have up here, do more for us or more damage to us than the conversations we have all day. Because that's what we truly think, right? What we say, if we can say things without thinking it. And everyone's been in conversations with people where somebody's saying something and you're looking at them and you're like, yeah, you don't believe that. You don't believe it. I mean, how many times have we been in, business meetings, and you're listening to someone, or you're speaking? I know for me, it was me personally in the beginning of my career. I was saying, like, our company's the greatest at everything. No, we're not. And I believe that I was convincing, but then if I'm sitting on the other side of it, I could see right through it. Right. So just really pay attention to what you say to yourself. And if you find yourself holding things too close to you, you have the beginnings. If not, you're fully engulfed in a scarcity mindset. What would you say, Ryan?
100%. It's just exact. My number one tip would as well be identify it and then actually think about it. Like you said, on your walks or things like that. I think the number one thing, maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but be like a dog, man. Dogs, I've never met one dog with scarcity mindset. They love everybody. They love everything. And they just truly have it's all about that. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. Definitely the big tip I've learned, Dan, is we're gonna have to take Jeff to some sushi. I can get him out there and break that for him, because I see them in the comments right there. But thank you to the audience. This is Monday with the topics that we're talking about, just not to do logistics sales, but kind of build up your foundation from there. So we've got a lot coming this week, Dan. We really do. So a couple plugs here. Tomorrow we have Casey Jenkins. She's an amazing supply chain strategist. I had a conversation with her a couple weeks ago, and seeing her profile, she does 2-minute topics I think it's every Tuesday and Thursdays. And she's talking about automation. She's talking about things that actually matter. So when a company goes bankrupt, like she was talking about Bed Bath & Beyond going bankrupt, what does that mean in logistics, supply chain? Not specifically about the shareholders and different things like that. So we're excited for her to come on tomorrow at 11 a.m. and chat with us. Shameless plug here. The Logistics Monk Show, which is my own personal baby, today at 5 p.m. I've got my man Dan actually joining us today, and we're not talking sales. So definitely tune in on YouTube. We'll have that conversation as well. We got Data
Are you
Day.
Gonna put the link down? Do you have the link?
I got the link. I'll make it in a different post. I'll put it in the comments for everybody to kind of see. So it's a great conversation that you and I had. Nothing to do with logistics, just kind of talking about life and your journey in the last year, I would say it is. So if you found value in this, please comment, share, subscribe. We'll have to hit the replay at 2 and 6 p.m. on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Share with your friend, your neighbor, your spouse, and most importantly, the Amazon driver who's bringing your packages today. I know you get popped with that a little bit, but Dano, take us home, my man. What are people looking forward? You looking forward to tomorrow with Casey?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. It'll be. I love the fact that she comes from a different place, not just saying, okay, shareholders are going to lose out on this, and this. It's what is this going to mean to the supply chain? It's crazy how 1% of 1% matters in the overall grand picture, right? So it's I'm looking forward to the conversation, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Of course, we got Diener coming in on Wednesday, and then we got Thursday, and then we got Friday, and Jeff's back Wednesday, right? Jeff's back Wednesday.
Yeah, Jeff is back, and tomorrow, a little plug for Jeff. Jeff's going to be on Dat IQ Live tomorrow. I was on it last week at 10 a.m., so looking forward to the conversation. Hopefully, it will definitely everybody tunes in, because I know it will be impactful for everybody to kind of see. So, do that show, and then come check us out right at 11. So we'll have a lot of fun there. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
I hear Dad's got a sushi spread tomorrow for Jeff.
Ooh, yeah, we got to see that. How come I didn't get a sushi spread? You know, I didn't even I got peanut butter and jam. You know, so
Hey, PB&J, brother, don't ever trash PB&J. That was like what I grew up on.
there
Right?
we go. So we'll talk about
The best PB&J is when you put the knife in the bread and the bread does this and it like seals this. Never mind.
All right, we'll
Yeah,
talk about it on
so-
Friday. Sandwiches. We'll talk about sandwiches on Friday.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right,
everybody, take care. We'll see you guys.
Take care.